The house was peaceful that morning, sunlight dancing across the crib. The new parents smiled as their baby slept soundly for the first time. But their loyal dog, Max, couldn't stop watching the baby's every move. He sniffed the air, then the baby's tiny hands, over and over again. At first, everyone laughed, thinking it was just curiosity and love. But soon, Max's behavior turned intense, almost desperate. He refused to leave the baby's side, even skipping his meals. Every time the baby cried, Max whimpered louder, eyes filled with worry. The mother tried to move him away, but he growled softly in protest. Something about the baby's scent was making him uneasy. Days passed, and Max's restlessness only grew stronger. At night, he would bark near the crib, alert and anxious. The father began to feel that something wasn't right at all. He noticed the baby's breathing was faint, slower than usual. Max placed his paw gently on the baby's chest, as if sensing danger. The room fell silent. Only the sound of shallow breaths remained. That's when the father's heart raced in panic and realization. He grabbed his phone, trembling, and dialed the vet immediately. Max stood guard beside the crib, refusing to move an inch. What the vet discovered next would leave everyone in tears. The house felt alive with laughter as the new baby came home. Max, their giant dog, watched closely, tail wagging gently. He sniffed the baby's tiny hands as if memorizing every scent. Everyone smiled. It was love at first sight. But as days passed, Max's attention turned intense. He followed the baby's crib wherever it went. Every cry made him whimper. Every laugh made him wag. At night, he'd sleep beside the crib, never looking away. The parents thought it was adorable, pure loyalty. They didn't know he was sensing something no one else could. Max would sniff the baby's chest again and again. Sometimes, he'd lick the baby's neck, then stare in silence. His eyes carried a strange mix of love and fear. The mother laughed it off, calling him their baby's guardian. But the father began to notice something else. Max's breathing matched the baby's every rhythm. When the baby paused, Max froze too, waiting. One night, Max growled low, eyes wide in panic. That was the first sign something was terribly wrong, and the beginning of a truth no one saw coming. Days turned into sleepless nights for the family. Max refused to eat, refused to rest, refused to leave the crib. He barked softly whenever someone lifted the baby. The parents thought he was being overprotective. But there was something desperate in his eyes. Each time the baby slept, Max sniffed near her chest. He would whine, push his nose close, then back away trembling. Sometimes he'd scratch at the floor, crying quietly. The mother tried to calm him with gentle words, but Max's instincts screamed louder than any comfort. One evening, the father noticed the baby turning pale. Her breathing seemed slower, shallower than before. Max barked sharply, startling them both. He nudged the father's leg and pointed his nose to the crib. It wasn't random. It was a cry for help. The air felt heavy with something they couldn't explain. Even the father's heart began to race in fear. Something about Max's behavior felt more than coincidence. He knew something inside that baby wasn't right, and time was running out. The father decided to stay up that night, just to watch. Max sat near the crib, eyes locked on the baby. Hours passed in silence, until suddenly, Max stood up. He barked once, loud and sharp, waking everyone. The baby's breathing had stopped for a split second. Panic filled the father's chest as he ran to the crib. Max began to paw at the baby's chest gently. He barked again, desperate, urging the father to act. The mother screamed as she saw the baby's lips turning blue. Without thinking, the father scooped her up and called the vet. Max wouldn't stop barking, pacing wildly around the room. It was as if he understood what was happening. Every second felt like forever as the vet answered the call. Tears streamed down the mother's face as Max whimpered. The father's voice broke as he begged for help. "Please, my baby isn't breathing right," he cried. Max howled, pressing against the crib, refusing to move. That moment changed everything they believed about instinct. The dog had sensed it, long before anyone else. And now, their baby's life hung in the balance. The vet's car lights flashed through the window minutes later. Max stood by the door, barking until the vet entered. He led the man straight to the crib without hesitation. The vet placed a stethoscope on the baby's tiny chest. His expression shifted: fear, urgency, disbelief. "There's fluid in her lungs," he whispered. "She's been struggling to breathe for days." The parents froze, realizing Max had sensed it all along. The vet rushed to provide emergency oxygen. Max watched, shaking, tail low, eyes full of pain. The baby coughed weakly, taking her first strong breath. Relief filled the room, mixed with shock and tears. The father sank to the floor, holding his face. The mother reached for Max, hugging him tightly. "You saved her, boy. You really saved her." Max licked her hand softly, as if saying, "I just knew." The vet nodded, still amazed by the dog's intuition. He said quietly, "Sometimes, love senses what medicine cannot." The parents looked at Max, their hearts full of gratitude. He wasn't just their pet anymore. He was their hero. Days passed, and the baby grew stronger each morning. Max never left her side, his eyes soft and peaceful again. The parents began to see him as more than family. He had become a guardian, a silent angel on four paws. Every time the baby laughed, Max wagged his tail proudly. Every night, he'd curl beside her crib, watching over her. The vet's words echoed in their hearts for days. It wasn't instinct alone. It was love. The story of Max spread across the town like wildfire. People called him the dog who smelled danger. But to the family, he was simply their baby's protector. The father often sat beside him, patting his back in silence. He would whisper, "I owe you everything, my friend." The bond between Max and the baby grew stronger than ever. Wherever she crawled, he followed, gentle and calm. And when she smiled at him, he wagged as if smiling back. Their hearts were tied by something deeper than words, a love beyond reason, beyond instinct, beyond time. The dog who once wouldn't stop sniffing had saved a life. And in doing so, he taught everyone what true love means. The story of Max's bravery spread faster than anyone expected. Neighbors gathered outside just to meet the heroic dog. The local newspaper featured his photo beside the smiling baby. "Guardian Angel Dog Saves Infant's Life," the headline read proudly. People brought treats, toys, and warm words of love. But Max stayed humble, lying quietly beside his tiny human. He didn't need fame. He had already found his purpose. The father spoke softly during interviews, voice trembling. He just knew something was wrong. We didn't. Even doctors were amazed by the dog's sharp instincts. They said Max must have sensed a chemical change in the baby's breath. Something only a dog's heart and nose could ever detect. The vet visited again, patting Max's head in admiration. "You didn't just save a baby, you saved a family," he said. The town soon called him a symbol of unconditional love. Children drew pictures of him and the baby together. Everywhere his story went, hearts melted in awe. He had become a living reminder of silent devotion, and how one loyal heart can change countless lives. Max's eyes sparkled. He didn't need words to understand. That night, when everyone had gone to sleep, the father stayed awake. He watched Max resting peacefully near the crib. Memories of the terrifying night replayed in his mind. How close they had come to losing everything. Tears welled in his eyes as he knelt beside Max. "You knew before any of us did," he whispered softly. Max lifted his head, placing a paw on the father's arm. It was a moment of silent gratitude between two souls. The man realized how easily love can be overlooked, how a loyal heart can speak louder than any words. He promised himself to always trust instinct, even in silence. Because sometimes the purest love isn't spoken, it's felt. Outside, the wind carried a peaceful hush through the trees. The baby sighed softly in her sleep, safe and calm. Max closed his eyes, finally at peace again. The father stayed beside him until sunrise, lost in thought. He couldn't help but feel that Max was more than just a pet. Maybe he was sent for a reason, a guardian in disguise. And for the first time, the father truly believed in miracles, all because of one dog's unstoppable love. The next morning, the mother held the baby close to her heart. She looked down at Max and whispered through tears, "You'll always be part of our family, no matter what." Her voice trembled with emotion and gratitude. She remembered how Max refused to move that night, how his eyes were filled with worry no one understood. She couldn't imagine the house without him anymore. He was her silent comfort in every sleepless night. When the baby cried, Max was there before she could reach. When she smiled, Max's tail wagged in perfect rhythm. It was as if he could feel every heartbeat of the child. The mother promised she'd never ignored his instincts again, because love like his only comes once in a lifetime. She kissed his head gently, whispering, "Thank you, my boy." Max rested his chin on her knee, eyes closing peacefully. That simple bond between them said everything words couldn't. The house no longer felt ordinary. It felt blessed. Max wasn't just guarding the baby, he was guarding their hearts. And every moment felt like a gift they would never forget. Love, loyalty, and faith, all wrapped in a furry friend. A full year passed since that life-changing night. The baby, now walking, giggled as Max followed her steps. The living room was filled with balloons and joy. It was her first birthday, and Max's favorite day too. He wore a tiny party hat, wagging proudly beside her. The father watched, emotion welling in his eyes. He couldn't believe how time had turned fear into joy. The vet visited again, bringing Max a golden collar. Engraved on it were the words, "The hero with a heart." Everyone clapped as Max sat proudly beside the baby. She reached out and hugged his neck tightly. In that moment, there were no words, just love. The father smiled, realizing how much one moment changed them. That bond, born from danger, had become unbreakable. The baby's laughter echoed, pure and innocent, and Max barked softly, as if laughing with her. The family took a photo, a memory to last forever. A hero, a baby, and the miracle that brought them together. The world saw a dog, but they saw an angel. Their hearts would never forget the night he saved her life. Love doesn't always need words to be understood. Max never spoke, yet his actions shouted louder than cries. He saw what no one else could, the danger hidden in silence. His heart beat in rhythm with the baby's tiny breath. And when that rhythm faltered, his soul reacted first. True love doesn't wait to be asked. It simply protects. He didn't save her for a reward, but because he cared. Max taught that loyalty is love in its purest form. It's a promise that says, "I'll be there, no matter what." The family learned that miracles can wear fur and wag tails. That sometimes, love smells danger before logic does. His bravery wasn't learned. It was born from connection. Every bark was a message only the heart could understand. He reminded them that trust isn't spoken, it's felt. And that even in fear, love finds its way to act. The world may call him a dog, but to them, he was a guardian. He showed that heroes don't always stand tall. Some sit quietly. Some watch, protect, and give everything without asking. Max proved that one act of love can change countless lives. His story became more than a rescue. It became hope. Because love like his doesn't fade, it echoes forever. Every breath the baby takes is now a gift of his courage. Every smile she gives carries his unseen blessing. He didn't just save a life, he gave meaning to it. The family will forever remember his gentle strength. And the world will remember that love has many forms. Some call it instinct, others call it devotion. But to that family, it was nothing less than divine. Because sometimes, the bravest hearts don't speak, they love.